The door slammed. Hey! Don't touch that. I turned before I even realized I was moving. My son froze. There was a man standing over him, tall, stiff, dressed in a dark suit like he owned the ground he was standing on. My son's crayon lay broken near the tire of a black SUV that looked like it cost more than my entire life put together. I said, "Move away," the man snapped. My son bent quickly, his hands shaking as he picked up the crayon. "I'm sorry," he said. That was it. That was the moment. I stepped forward. "Excuse me." The man turned to me, irritation already on his face like I had interrupted something important. "Yes?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "You don't speak to a child like that," I said. There was a pause. Not long. But long enough. "He was touching the car," the man replied. "This isn't a playground." I glanced at my son. "Mummy, I didn't touch it," he said quickly. "It fell." I believed him instantly. I turned back. "And even if he did," I said, "you still don't raise your voice at him like that." His expression hardened. "You should teach your child discipline instead of arguing with adults." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "And you," I said calmly, "should remember you're a driver. Not his father." Silence. Sharp. Immediate. He stepped toward me. "Watch how you speak." The car door opened behind him. And everything changed. Even before I turned, I knew. The way the driver straightened. The way the air shifted. The way the moment paused. Someone important had just stepped out. I turned slowly. And saw him. He didn't rush. Didn't speak. He just stepped out of the SUV like the world would wait for him to finish moving. Tall. Composed. Still in a way that didn't feel calm, it felt controlled. His eyes moved once. "Driver." My son. Then me. And stopped. "Is there a problem?" he asked. His voice was quiet. But it carried like it didn't need permission to. The driver spoke quickly. "Sir, the boy was touching." "He wasn't," I cut in. Both of them looked at me. I didn't step back. "My son said he didn't touch it," I said. And I believe him. The driver inhaled sharply. "Madam. I'm not speaking to you anymore," I said. And I meant it. Now I was looking at the man. Really looking at him. "And you," I said, "should make sure the people who work for you know how to speak to children." Silence. Heavy. Like the ground itself was listening. "Madam," the driver started. "Enough," the man said. One word. And just like that, the driver stopped. Completely. I noticed that. Of course I did. The man looked at me again. Longer this time. Like he was trying to understand something. "You're saying my driver spoke to your child disrespectfully," he said. "I'm saying he spoke to him like he was less than human," I replied. Another pause. I didn't soften. I didn't look away. "You're very direct," he said. "I don't see the need to be anything else." Then something unexpected happened. He nodded. Once. To the driver. "Apologize." The driver froze. "Sir." "Apologize." I watched the moment break across his face. Shock. Resistance. Then obedience. "I'm sorry," he said stiffly. My son nodded quickly. I didn't thank him. I didn't smile. "Good," I said. I took my son's hand and turned to leave. That should have been the end of it. Wait. I stopped. Not because I had to. Because I chose to. I turned back. He was still watching me. "What is your name?" he asked. I looked at him for a second. Then, "Why?" Something flickered in his expression. "Because I asked." "That's not a reason." The driver looked like he might collapse. "You don't usually answer questions?" he asked. "I answer relevant ones." Then I added. "And I don't give my name to strangers who let their employees bully children." Silence. Real silence. Then he exhaled. Softly. Almost like a laugh he didn't expect. "Fair enough," he said. I nodded once. Decision made. And walked away. "Mummy." My son's voice was quiet. "You were not scared?" I adjusted my grip on his hand. "Of who?" "The man." I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I hadn't been. And that was the problem. The next morning, I walked into the most expensive mistake of my life. The building was too quiet. Too clean. Too controlled. Glass walls. Soft lighting. The kind of place where people lowered their voices without being told to. I adjusted my sleeve. First day. New job. No room for error. "Name?" the receptionist asked. "Favor Adeyemi." "Operations." She paused. Just for a second. Then nodded. 15th floor. Everything was normal. Too normal. Until it wasn't. It happened after lunch. The shift was subtle. But I felt it. People straightened. Conversations dropped. Something had entered the building. I didn't look up immediately. I finished the line I was reading first. Then. Footsteps. Measured. Controlled. Familiar. I looked up. And my stomach dropped. It was him. Same presence. Same stillness. Same eyes. He walked past me like I wasn't there. Then. Stopped. Turned. And looked directly at me. Recognition hit instantly. No confusion. No doubt. "You work here," he said. Not a question. "Yes," I replied. My voice was steady. Even if my thoughts weren't. A pause. "I see," he said. And walked away. I stood there for a second. Then turned to the woman beside me. "Who is that?" She stared at me. Like I had just said something dangerous. "You don't know?" "No." She leaned closer. Lowered her voice. "That's Kang Taehyuk." A pause. "The CEO." And just like that, everything I had done yesterday came back. All at once. And I realized something. I hadn't just confronted a stranger. I had challenged the most powerful man in the building. And he remembered. That was the beginning. I should have stayed quiet. That thought came to me exactly 3 seconds after I heard the word CEO. 3 seconds too late. Favor. I turned. My supervisor was standing behind me, holding a file. "Take this upstairs." My stomach tightened slightly. "Upstairs?" He hesitated. Like he knew exactly what he was asking. "The executive floor." Of course. Of course it had to be today. "Okay," I said. Because what else was I going to say? No. The elevator ride felt longer than it should have. Too quiet. Too reflective. I watched my own face in the mirror panel. Calm. Too calm. "Relax," I muttered under my breath. "You didn't do anything wrong." The doors opened. And the air changed. The executive floor didn't feel like the rest of the building. It felt controlled. Like every sound had permission before it existed. I walked up to the desk. Delivery for the CEO. The secretary looked at me. Then at the file. Then back at me. Wait here. Of course. I stood there. Still. Listening to the quiet. Then. The door behind her opened. And I felt it before I saw him. Come in. Not loud. Not commanding. But it wasn't a suggestion. The secretary gestured. I walked in. His office was exactly what I expected. Minimal. Expensive. Everything placed like it had a reason to exist. He was standing by the window. Back to me. Looking out over the city. Close the door, he said. I did. Silence. Then he turned. And just like that, I was back outside that car. Same eyes. Same stillness. You work in operations, he said. Yes. You're new. Yes. A pause. Then. You still haven't apologized. I blinked. Apologized? For yesterday. I let out a quiet breath. No. Silence. No, he repeated. I didn't do anything wrong, I said. There it was again. That moment. That tension. That invisible line most people wouldn't cross. I stepped over it like it wasn't there. His gaze didn't move. You challenged my employee. In public. He was wrong. In public. A flicker. Small. But real. You're very certain. I was there. Another pause. You could have handled it differently. So could he. Silence again. Then he moved. Slowly. Walking toward me. And I realized something. Up close, he was worse. Not louder. Not more aggressive. Just more precise. You don't seem to understand where you are, he said. I met his eyes. Then explain it to me. That caught him off guard. I saw it. Just for a second. This company, he said slowly, is not just a workplace. Then what is it? A pause. It's a structure. Everything is a structure. Another flicker. Stronger this time. You question everything, he said. I verify everything. Silence. Then. He picked up the file I brought. Opened it. Flipped through. You wrote this section, he said. Yes. It's inefficient. The word dropped like a stone. I didn't react. Which part? The air shifted. You're asking me to justify my criticism? I'm asking you to be specific. His eyes lifted. Locked onto mine. For your own good, he added quietly. I held his gaze. I work better with clarity. Silence. Then. He tapped a section. This projection. I used the data provided. And didn't question it. I didn't have reason to. You always have reason to, he said. That landed differently. I nodded slowly. Okay. Redo it. I will. Today. Yes. A pause. You're not afraid of me. I tilted my head slightly. Should I be? Silence. No, he said. But something in his voice said something else entirely. Good, I replied. That was when something changed. Not in the room. In him. I saw it. Not clearly. But enough. Recognition. He wasn't used to this. People didn't talk to him like this. And I wasn't stopping. That night, I stayed late. Not because he told me to. Because I don't lose. I spread the reports across my desk. Cross-checked everything. Rebuilt the projections. Tested assumptions. And found it. The flaw. I leaned back in my chair. Got you, I muttered. You found it. I froze. Slowly turned. He was standing in the doorway. Watching me. I didn't hear him come in. Yes, I said. I turned the screen slightly. The data source was incomplete. It shifts when external variables are included. He stepped closer. Looked. Silence. Then. It's correct. Simple. Clean. Final. Thank you, I said. And turned back to my laptop. But he didn't leave. You didn't ask how I knew, he said. I assumed you wouldn't answer. You assume a lot. I observe. A pause. You challenged my driver. I corrected him. He's been with me for 12 years. And? He doesn't get corrected. I leaned back slightly. Then maybe he needed it. Silence. Then. A quiet exhale. Almost amused. You're consistent, he said. I try to be. Another pause. Then. Go home. I'm not finished. You are. I looked at him. He held my gaze. And for the first time. It didn't feel like control. It felt like something else. Okay, I said. I packed my things. Good night. Favor. I paused. Yes? Make sure your son stays away from expensive cars. I looked at him. Really looked at him. I'll make sure your driver remembers how to speak to children. And I walked out. But this time. I felt it. Not just attention. Focus. And that was worse. Because now. It wasn't just a moment anymore. It was intentional. And somewhere I couldn't see. Something had already started moving. I noticed the car on the third day. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. Same street. Same time. Same black sedan parked just far enough to not be obvious. But I've lived long enough to know the difference between coincidence and pattern. Mummy? I looked down. My son was watching me. You stopped walking. I forced a smile. Just thinking. But I wasn't thinking. I was calculating. Come, I said softly, tightening my grip on his hand. Let's take another way today. We turned left instead of right. The car didn't move. But when we reached the next junction, it was there again. That's when I knew. This wasn't random. That night, I didn't sleep. Not properly. Every small sound felt louder. Every passing car made my chest tighten just slightly. By morning, I had already made a decision. I wasn't going to wait for something to happen. I was going to him. I didn't knock. The secretary stood up immediately. You can't just. I can, I said calmly. And kept walking. I opened the door. He looked up. And there it was again. That lack of surprise. You noticed, he said. I closed the door behind me. Yes. Silence. How long? I asked. Long enough. Something inside me snapped slightly. You didn't tell me. A pause. I needed to observe. I stared at him. Observe? I needed to understand how you react under pressure. A short, disbelieving laugh escaped me. You used me as an experiment? No. Then what was that? I needed to know if you panic. I took a step closer. And? You don't. That's not the point. Silence. Then he said something that changed everything. They're not watching you. A pause. They're watching me. The room felt smaller. And I'm what? I asked quietly. Convenient? No. Then what am I? He didn't answer. And that silence said more than anything else could have. I exhaled slowly. You should have told me. Yes. But you didn't. No. Why? He stepped closer. Not fast. Not aggressive. Just deliberate. Because once you know, he said quietly, you can't unknow it. I held his gaze. I already know enough. Silence. Heavy. Real. What happens now? I asked. They stop. And if they don't? They will. The certainty in his voice. It wasn't reassuring. It was final. You already handled it, I said. He didn't deny it. How? I asked. A pause. By reminding them what happens when they cross a line. There it was. Not business. Not corporate. Something else. You're not just a CEO, I said. Silence. He didn't confirm it. But he didn't deny it either. I nodded slowly. Okay. He watched me carefully. That's it? That's it. You're not walking away? I shook my head. No. You should. You don't get to decide that. This isn't about choice. It is for me. That landed. Hard. He stepped closer. Now there was no space left between us. You don't understand what this means, he said. Then explain it. It means being connected to me is dangerous. I figured that out. You could walk away. I won't. A pause. Why? I didn't hesitate. Because you're not what you pretend to be. Silence. And what do you think I am? He asked. I studied him carefully. Someone who fixes problems before they become visible, I said. Someone who doesn't let things get out of control. A beat. And someone who didn't have to step in that day, but did. Something shifted in his expression. Subtle. But real. You don't know me, he said. No, I agreed. A pause. But I see you. That did something. I saw it. For the first time. He didn't have a response ready. He exhaled slowly. Go home. I nodded. But before I turned. You don't have to do everything alone, I said. Then I left. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. Because 2 days later. They stopped watching. And then. They acted. It was Friday. Evening. The sky was dim, the street quieter than usual. Mummy, can I show you my drawing when we get home? I smiled slightly. Of course. Then. A car slowed beside us. My entire body went still. The window rolled down. A man leaned out. Smiling. But not kindly. You're harder to reach than expected, he said. I pulled my son behind me immediately. We just want to talk. No. He sighed. Like I was being difficult. You don't understand your situation. I understand enough. The door opened. That's when my heart started beating faster. Not panic. Preparation. Stay behind me, I whispered. Mummy. I'm here. Then. Another car cut sharply into the street. Fast. Precise. Controlled. It stopped between us. The door opened. And he stepped out. Kang Tae-hyuk. But not the version I had seen before. This one. Didn't pretend. The air changed instantly. The man froze. Just slightly. Leave, Tae-hyuk said. One word. Cold. Final. The man laughed softly. This doesn't concern you. A beat. It does. Silence. The man looked at him differently now. Really looked. Then glanced at me. All this, he said slowly, for her. Everything in me stilled. A pause. Then. Yes. Simple. Absolute. Something shifted. The man's smile faded. Then this just became interesting. He stepped back into the car. Not today. And they drove off. Just like that. The street fell quiet again. But nothing felt the same. I exhaled slowly. Only now realizing I had stopped breathing. Mummy. I'm here, I said immediately. Then I looked at him. You followed me. I made sure you weren't alone. You told me to stay away. I was wrong. That landed. You don't say that easily, I said. No. Then why now? A pause. Because this is no longer about what I prefer. Silence. What is it about then? He looked at me. No distance. No control. You. And that. That changed everything. If you enjoyed this story and want to see what happens next, make sure you like this video, drop a comment below, and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like this.